Yo, welcome to another episode of the BJJ Goons podcast. I'm your host, Tim, the Mushmaster Spriggs, and with me as always, every week is...
Yo, what's up, everybody? It's Nico Ball, no new Nico. And today I got this camera all up on me. I feel like y'all all up in my face today.
Yeah, all up in your grill.
Yeah, but what's good with you, Tim? How was your day?
My day was a day. It was a day.
It was a day. We talked on the phone. It sounded like you were lifting heavy weights. There was a lot of metal clanking.
A lot of business being handled, a lot of drama on the back end with the pod that has to be dealt with. But it's just the life of a podcaster slash professional wrestler slash professional athlete slash everything.
Slash everything.
I'm a plate spinner.
And that's actually going to be the topic of today's episode. We're going to talk a little bit about professionalism and BJJ, because like being a professional athlete basically means like you're a professional entrepreneur, and that shit really, really sucks. Like, and I have like 3 businesses. No, how many do I have? It's like Favela Jiu JItsu is a LLC.
Yeah.
Today Kids Project is a 501c3. I work with BJJ Goons, although it's not like incorporated as a business. And then I work with not Today Kids Project, the FT Academy in Brazil. Sometimes I get caught out with their shit, even though I'm not supposed to be working for like academy shit, but they wrote me into it. And that's like 4. And then my actual job, which I work for another entrepreneur. So it's like, that's a lot. It's a lot.
Yeah, you're a hustler. You're a hustler.
What about you? You actually have an LLC, right?
Yes. My most lucrative year. My most lucrative year.
And that's for all like private lessons, seminars. Like, do your fight checks go through the LLC, or is that like personal?
No, it's my business account. Everything jiu-jitsu and martial arts related, it's in my business account. And that's where the base of my business is located, in the LLC and in the martial arts space. When professional wrestling takes off, I'm going to have a separate one because it's not my everything account. But yeah, that's what I do.
Yeah, it gets complicated and that's the thing, like professoring wrestling money. And that's why Favela Jiu JItsu is an LLC now, just to separate like t-shirt sales. And like, it's a minimum amount of money, but it's just like, I don't want it going in my personal bank account, and I don't want it going in my business bank account. Yeah. So it's like, yeah, wrestling. I was going to ask you, like, at what belt level did you become an LLC?
Black belt.
Black belt, not so black belt.
Way too late, but I didn't know any better. I didn't know any better. I just took the checks and put them in my personal bank account. I didn't save anything. Not that I had any money to save, but I didn't save anything and put into a retirement account, or a Roth IRA, anything like that. I didn't have multiple accounts for different things, whether it was retirement accounts or investments, and whether it was a business account. And then it's different. There's different type of accounts that you have to have if you're going to be a business person, or just being an adult that is kind of on the ball with financial literacy. And I didn't learn any of that until black belt. And I don't think it's a knock on anyone that doesn't have their shit together financially in jiu-jitsu, because the sport is so new and there's no set standard.
I think we need to start knocking these people, just like we were knocking like Will Smith and like Chris Rock. And I don't say that in a nice way. Don't get pensive. This is just more of like a sarcastic way, but it's like how I shut that down. It's like, we need to be, more compassionate and considerate. We need to stop the people. We need to start going on the people that want to be financially illiterate, like, because that's not okay.
Like, yeah. It's hard. Dealing with money is hard.
But yeah, that's why we're going to talk about that
a book about it and learn the hard way in a lot of ways.
No, it's not easy. It's definitely not easy.
There's no
blueprint. I got a Roth IRA this year. That's something that I started in the pandemic when those stimmy checks were coming out.
Yes.
And then I bought like stocks. I learned that like you can actually buy stocks and put them in your IRA. So that's interesting.
Yeah. I'm into finance. I should have listened to my uncle.
You should have. So
I should have done finance in college. And when I have kids, if I have kids, I will definitely make them do finance or some art. I mean, not art, some science in college, because we listened to a podcast this week. Nico put me on to one, and it was BJJ Mental Models. Shout out to them. Meg He was the guest, and well, Nico, I think you should explain Meg He's background on what went down on BJJ Mental Models,
right,
and how it relates to money in jiu-jitsu.
Meg He is, I don't even know what belt she is. She might just be like a blue or a purple belt. I feel bad. Her partner is Margot Cicerelli. She is a black belt.
Very good black belt.
She's a very good black belt. And I got put onto them after all of the thing with the sexual predators and the fight sports scandal came out. So like, if y'all remember when that came out, I kind of had that same opinion of, you know, people just need to be quiet and not be voicing their opinions and let victims of this, you know, go to professionals to deal with it. And Meg He came out with like this really in-depth post, and it was like, first it started off as like, I am not a professional in this, but like I've acquired like some research and some information from outside of the jiu-jitsu community, which is what I really respect about her, is like the actual academic research that she goes into, like pulling out these actual professionals, whether it be in education, psychology, finance, or business, and giving that insight and applying it to jiu-jitsu. So that's how I ended up following her and her partner, Margaret. And they offer, I know it's funny because they got one of the BJJ Goons Mental podcast, and the guy was like saying, actually, like, I just follow people that like my friends follow. If like everybody I know follows you and thinks you're cool, then yeah, like I could invite you to be a guest. And I was like, that's funny because that's kind of how I felt into her. Like I really like her content. So that's why we ended up listening to that episode. And it just drops a lot of gems when the financial aspect of, you know, trying to become a professional, like, what is it? I bookmark a blog that she wrote that we'll put in the description, and it's how to go full-time in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu profitably. Because have you been profitable? Like before this 30K, would you consider like you're professional? Like, would you be considered to be profitable?
Over the long term?
Yeah, before 30K, up until 2021.
I would say I was in the black, because at no point was actually, maybe I might have not been profitable. I can't even front. If I factor in the flights I paid for, the gas I paid for, if things that I may have missed out on because of it, if we're even factoring lost wages from potential career paths I could have had, even without that, I'm definitely not profitable long term overall. At no point was I in the red, I would say, but I don't think I was very profitable. I'd be lucky to be in the black without the 30K. With the 30K, still no, because if we're considering my business from when I started full time as a grappler, I consider that my career, whether I was serious about it being a business or not. There's no way that I would be profitable.
I mean, yeah, if you put like that 30K on a graph of your long-term income, or you think of it in like business quarters, like that was a spike in one quarter. You know, is that going to weigh out all of your expenses in the other 3 quarters of the year? It's like, you got to kind of think of it long term. And I think that's one of my issues, and why I was saying like we need to start knocking people that are not financially illiterate, because people want to get paid like professionals in this sport, but they're unwilling to act like professionals. And, you know, that's not just like putting on a suit and, you know, using big words. It's actually having the time to go and research things, to know like, negotiation was one thing that came up. Like, how do you negotiate a contract, or how do you negotiate a sponsorship? How do you negotiate anything? Like, these are actual business terms and business practices and things that you can apply to jiu-jitsu. Like we talked to Leal Optics when he came on, and he talked a little bit about what he looks for in a sponsored athlete, you know, not just being able to get that return as like an influencer, but also like the relationship. So you need to know how to like go about things like that professionally. And I just don't see a lot of it in the sport.
When you go into a sport, you're not in the business side of it. If I compare this to different things that I learned in college and the friends that I made in college, a lot of them, they're business people in business fields. If I am a business major or I'm going into law school or I'm being a dentist or something, you learn business development in these degrees that you get. You don't get any kind of business. You don't get any business taught to you in an athletic field because your primary objective is all physical. It's not like you're in a field. What's so funny?
You know,
it's true.
Them athletes ain't going to class. That's why I'm laughing. You know, them athletes like Malachi. We listen to Malachi.
If you're a professional athlete, your job is to be an athlete. There's no business side to it that you're going to be involved with. There's sports management. There's sports management. There's name a major, Nico. Just name a random major. Like all these majors that you get in school are going to teach you business. But if you're doing jiu-jitsu professionally, chances are you're not into being a business person. There's exceptions, but you're not going to know. You're expecting jiu-jitsu people or athletes to be businessmen. It's impossible.
Personally, I mean, like, I'm not expecting them to be businessmen, but it's like, all right, you think about it in other sports. Like, how would you relate it? Because you know more about other sports, like college athletes, and aren't things changing with like the way they can get endorsements? Or I just figured out, who was it that told me that college athletes actually got checks given to them to kind of off balance the fact that they weren't getting endorsements?
Yeah, but like I said again, athletes are not business people, and the business of and the career as a professional athlete.
But then don't those athletes that are not business people, like they normally, like in football, when you go professional, you have a manager.
You have a manager, but
all of them? Is that
but like she said, like Meg said in it, most of the time a manager is not going to be interested in a jiu-jitsu fighter.
Oh yeah, definitely no. But it's like, my question is like, because again, I don't expect athletes to be professionals. I think that they need to like figure out a way to, like, when you get to the point, it's like, well, like if you're like, or even like a purple belt and you're getting money like from jiu-jitsu, and like she talked about it a lot, like people that are doing like janky people that are like, they'll give you free training instead of paying you. But what if they're paying you in cash? And what if like you get audited? Like, so you're gonna let like your team that was like, oh yeah, we'll let you train, and then we'll just give you like whatever, like some money under the cat, like some cash, or they pay you for like PayPal. Or this happened to me when I was writing for Vice, and then they 1099 me. That's what they did. They 10 my ass at the end of the year, and I was screwed. I ended up owing money off that.
I agree. I don't. So it's I agree. I agree that everyone needs to be business savvy.
Yeah, I don't expect them to be professionals. It's like we need to figure out ways to avoid things like this happening. And like, you can't expect to get those big monies unless you act more professionally. Like, so I don't expect people to be professionals. Like, I'm trying to learn to be professional. It's an excruciating fucking process. One, which I need to stop saying the word fucking in, but I like cursing. But it's like, we're not there in that process.
I think there's a time and place for everything. I think with everything she said about negotiation, pardon?
That's the mush master.
I agree. I think she's correct. I think that to change things and make it for the better, you need to have conversations. You need to have experts. In the martial arts field, I think that it's easy for people to get taken advantage of because the relationship between a teacher and student, it doesn't give you leeway, or it doesn't make it comfortable to have conversations about business. I've been in situations where guys are training full-time at the gym and they're working at the gym, and the coach is the owner. There's no separation. There's no separation between the business and the martial arts side of it.
Church and state.
So if you have an issue with the business side, or you want to raise, or you feel like you're not getting treated fairly, you got to talk to your coach, and then you are going to have to see them again on the mats. And do you want to live with the awkwardness of your coach not liking you, or you guys have beef?
The awkwardness.
You're
By
trying to
awkwardness, you mean
train.
pain. And that's like real, because like when we think about it and we talk about it, like, oh no, you need to learn how to negotiate. But it's like they can actually put their hands on you. Yeah, that is real.
Yeah. And yeah, you also said something, or you mentioned it earlier, about you have to pay for college, you have to pay for technical school, but you want to get good at BJJ without paying.
And I go much further to be like,
please explain that.
Like,
what do you mean by that?
Pay to play. I'm all about, you got to pay to play. And this goes like a lot to like you for black belts. Like, how long did it take you to get your black belt?
It took me 7 years. I started in 2006. I didn't get my black belt until 2014. 8 years. It took me 8 years to get my black belt.
So that's 7 years.
However, I will give myself a pat on the back. Most of the time, I was not a full-time athlete. I was a full-time college student. You love to just throw that one in there.
You just love to throw that one in there. But
either way, I won a Grand Slam title while I was a full-time college student. Give me my props.
I am giving you your props. That's what I'm saying.
That's incredible.
7 years I gotta say
that's incredible, Nico.
You know,
that's incredible.
Going through college as well, while also winning titles.
Yes.
Going through all of that strenuous TLI training. That's 7 years of acquired knowledge. You know, how many years of school do you go through to be a doctor? I'm a doctor of Jiu Jitsu. Pretty much.
I am a doctor of Jiu Jitsu. I am like a surgeon at Johns Hopkins when it comes to Jiu Jitsu. If we're talking about your lineage, your tutelage, your accomplishments, yes, I am. It's like you're going to go see Ben Carson for medical reasons. Exactly.
So it's like, and not just you, other people as well. Other people, other black belts or brown belts that aren't world champions, but have dedicated their time or their energy or have specialized in something. So we all know that academy fees are expensive, you know, like $150 a month. But that like you ain't entitled to anything but access to class with that $150 a month. Now you might find that expensive, but like when you pay the basic, you get the basic. Like if you pay for an airline ticket and you pay for the basic one, you got to pay to check your bag now. But you want to use people, like, and not just to use people. Let me not act like
that's
people are cheap. You don't want to pay it.
That's heavy.
Let's go through that. Like, you want that comfort. You want to be good. Yes. Like, I've seen Ted today. Like, I've seen him in class and training, and he's cool and he's fun. But like, I've seen him do a private lesson, and like, he's dropped into a level, and like, I would say he has a mental illness. He's schizophrenic, and he was like a completely different person, but in a deep level. Like, he was dope then, and he's going like mind-blowing, just the way he broke down and analyzed this person's game that I didn't think he had even watched training, because he was talking to all the other visitors. I didn't think he paid any attention to this person, but the level of depth. And like, I've also worked with him and seen him do like CJ Murdoch, for example. Like, I've translated like private lessons for him. I've seen the progression of what he does when he goes for 2 or 3 lessons, or how he'll always bring an uke. He'll bring an uke so that he don't have to be the person you do it on, but he'll always take that time to do it with you so he can feel it. Beautiful. And that's Fernando Today, 5-time world champion. And that's like maybe $150 for a lesson. But if you package it, like 5 lessons, the price goes down. But people don't want to pay that, whether it's from him or just to have that attention. People think they're going to get the basic, pay the basic, and get upgraded for free. And like, you got to value your own time. Like, and it's not just like you invest that $500, maybe that one time, to do 5 private lessons. And that really helps you change your mentality to go back and maximize training. You know, when just like a basic teacher is maybe teaching, it helps you ask the right questions. It helps you, like when you think about how Master Lloyd teaches, and it's like when you have trouble remembering a technique, but when you have trouble, like when you're trying to remember a technique and you need to know in this point, what is each quadrant doing? That makes it easier to break down a technique, because this quadrant does this and this quadrant does this one does this one. But if you don't understand what that is, that makes it kind of harder. But to me, that makes it easier for me. And you get that through private lessons. So it's like, there's a whole nother world, a whole nother level of like superpower, Super Saiyan, and people are thinking they're going to pay the basic minimum. They're going to get in with like people at the gym, and they're going to get that special attention and that value.
I couldn't have said it better myself.
So TimSpriggsBJJ.com.
Yes, go to TimSpriggsBJJ.com because I'm a doctor of Jiu Jitsu, and I can give you private lessons, both in person and virtually. I can make a game plan for you, like make your game plan, like your entire Jiu Jitsu game. I can make you game plan to win any tournament. And I do match critiques. And that's the level of analysis that you have to pay for. I think it's the culture in Jiu Jitsu that's making it difficult to enforce this. If you're on a Jiu Jitsu team, quote unquote, you don't want to withhold information that can help your teammates win. I'll give you a hypothetical example. Let's say I'm a black belt and I'm a high-level black belt. I go to the gym and I'm training, but I'm just doing practice. I'm not the coach. And even if I am the coach, it's the same rule applies. If you're coming to me after practice and you're asking me a bunch of questions, you want me to show you shit, you're kind of stealing from me. The only way I wouldn't say that you're stealing is if we're teammates. It'd be like if me and DJ were discussing technique after. We're talking serious, full-time competitor athletes. You know, that's the exception. But other than that, you're in practice and you're asking the instructor to show you something after practice. Fuck that. You need to pay for a private lesson. If you're training with the upper belt and you're not teammates, stop holding them up after practice, because time is money. Pay for a damn private lesson. And I promise you that if you say I will pay you, they will give you more of them. They'll do a better job, because if you pay me to do something, I'm going to go above and beyond, and I'll have time to give you what you need.
Exactly. You got to think about it like this. You know, you end training, right? We're grown ass people here.
Yes.
You got a date. You're trying to go get some booty after training. Like, of course, we get done at training at 10 o'clock. You supposed to be meeting up with Shorty at 11 o'clock, but you going to like Chris Ruth. So you know that bill fitting to be like expensive. And then, you know, somebody, you know, comes and asks you a question. And you like somebody, but you trying to go get some ass.
Some booty.
Sorry, I'm trying not to curse, but we're not at that level.
Yeah.
Now, maybe you're going to sit there and you're going to help him for 5 or 10 minutes. And you're going to be maybe a little bit pissed after that. Maybe you're going to get some shade tomorrow. But take that same situation. You're about to go to Chris Ruth. You're going to be at 11. He comes by. He's like, yo, I got $100. Could you help me with this or this or this? You're fitting to call Shorty up and be like, yo, it's going to be 11:30. Let me get this 100 and we can get dessert. You know, like the attitude is going to be different. And I don't mean to be so superficial, but it's like that, like, time is money. Like, people are happy, like, not like, yo, tipping, things like that. It makes people smile. It makes them happy. It makes them want to help you. It makes them want to put that cherry on top.
Yeah. And I don't think people should be upset about getting called out for it. Like, if you say, hey man, you know, I would love to help you, but I do private lessons. And I think if we have those hard and fast rules in the gym, and Meg, he did an awesome job of using this as an example of like tipping and making it a part of the culture of getting private lessons. If we can have that, it's going to be more profitable for everyone.
Big facts, big facts, big facts. So I kind of had 2 questions. I don't know what I want to go with. Like,
Okay,
Have you
ask away.
seen in your experience working at Crazy 88, like how long were you actually working at the gym before you quit? I know you're a gym rat either way.
I taught there from 2012 to 2017.
So do you know of, or have you seen like a lot of people doing private lessons?
No, there are people that do. People get private lessons. I gave private lessons. I still do. It kind of slowed up after the pandemic started. It dried up, and I raised my prices, but rightfully so. Another thing I think I would like to see is not necessarily a jiu-jitsu black belt union, but we all talk to each other and have a set standard.
But okay.
Standard price, the industry standard.
Mm-hmm.
So we're not unintentionally scabbing on each other.
And that's something else that Meg has been doing. We're just basically like, we're giving you like, y'all need to go listen to this episode so they can go into it in details. But when we talk about the boring stuff of professionalism, like I'm not saying everybody's going to go out and be a professional because like that academic stuff really does suck, but that's what Meg is doing. Like she's going out and she's giving a survey on what is it, like pay scales, like not just black belts going across the industry. They talk a little bit more about her findings and get into more detail on the BJJ Mental Mind. So go slide over on that. But like, that's the kind of stuff that needs to be done. Like she's sitting there, she's over there gathering all this information that like nobody else wants to deal with. And then she's regurgitating it on her social media in reels, which is dope because everybody loves reels.
Yes. Yes.
You know, she's doing that academic research. Like she has her sites, like her sites is sorted, her sources cited. And, you know, I know Tim got all them belts while he was in college. Like, you know, the difference, like if you've gone to college and you've had to write a paper and then you have all this intellectual thought and they're like, well, put it in MLA format. That shit is pointless. But, you know, the people that have gone through that and she's putting all of this amazing stuff out there in the community, I would love to see more people rallying around that and less people rallying around Gordon Ryan's inability to define what an interim belt is. Which we talk about on our Patreon. We didn't bring that up. We didn't bring Will or Chris up because we filmed our Patreon yesterday. It dropped today on the 1st. So if you want to hear about that and Tim's pro wrestling debut, all of that stuff, put 5 on it. That's on patreon.com/BJJ Goons. If you're having any trouble with the videos, we are working on that. I think we got the most of them up. We're like switching our Vimeo, but you know, just send us some DMs. We do have some DMs about match reviews and whatnot.
We are working on it, as hopefully by the time this debuts. No, it will be done. We will have it fixed by the time this episode drops. Anyway, you had 2 questions for me?
No, I was gonna ask the one about private lessons.
Yes.
The next one I was gonna say if you had any other takeaways. We got a little quick time to ask the question about the refs. We won't go too much into it because we're at like 26 minutes. We're trying to keep it short.
What was the question?
First one, any other takeaways from the podcast from talking to Meg that you want to drop that we didn't talk about already?
Keep track of what you're spending your money on and get an accountant.
Get an accountant.
Just get an accountant.
I've been looking for an accountant. I don't actually have one.
Get
OC's an accountant. We need to have OC just being a BJJ accountant.
All right. And what's your other question?
No, the next one, we'll just go on to like the current. We're going to talk about this. It's going to be like a current event. So my people in Angola hit me up because I know a lot of the athletes from GF Team Angola, and there was an AJP tour, which it goes around to all of the countries. We all know that. And, you know, winning that will help you get that ticket to Abu Dhabi. So it's really important. So they had an AJP tour and they had some really shitty refs in Angola. So my friends hit me up. They were posting like the videos. So there was one video and I wrote an article. This is why this is news now. Because, you know, there's an article out on favelajujitsu.com. We'll put the link in the bio so you can watch the footage and see the issue with there was an issue with the advantages in the sweep. And then, no, the advantages going off the mat and then 2 points from a sweep that he didn't get. And so then after he didn't get the points for the sweep, they wouldn't review the film.
Yeah, I saw this.
And I didn't know this because I had to do, like, after this, which is really dope, I went through and I looked through all of the rules.
Yeah.
And in AJP Tour rules, in the black belt and brown belt finals, the athlete or the team have the right one time to request video footage. Did you know that before?
No, I did not know that because I do not follow AJP Tour. Can I make an aside real quick?
Yeah.
It's unfortunate that I didn't. And as a jiu-jitsu black belt that can have his own affiliation now, because I'm a second or now I'm a third degree. I should be. Whatever. I should have read the rules for AJP Tour, but jiu-jitsu does not have unified rules. So even if I read the IBJJF ones, it's totally different. Every event has different rules. Go ahead.
And that's kind of why I'm bringing it up, because I'm like, yo, Tim, you a black belt. What should people be doing to avoid this shit? Because AJP Tour, like, I guess we do put a lot of emphasis on IBJJF, but I am always pushing for promoting other organizations, especially ones that pay you cash and fly you out. And this one, like, if you're trying to travel and compete all over the world, you know, amazing federation. So I didn't realize this after going through all the rules, and I don't know if you can find these in Portuguese, but they are in English. So yeah, that's really dope. I didn't know that. Like, they always have the video judge, and like the teams are allowed to request the review. And if the review is in their favor, then they're allowed to request another one. They get to keep it, like calling, like, I don't know.
It's like a challenge in football.
Yes, yeah. But it makes sense. Another thing that would normally happen on a black belt final, how many judges do you normally have?
3. And then there's people that are reviewing the film.
How many times have you ever been in a black belt final without 3 judges?
0.
0 times.
Yeah.
0 times. I swear, even a Naga would probably pull out more than 1 judge.
Yeah. Yeah.
So there was that issue. So he got pissed, asked to walk off the mats. He said, and then I asked him, I was like, this is very important because the video is in there. Like, you hear all of the booing at the end of the match. And then you see him walking around and the judge trying to tell him to come over, and you can't hear what he's saying, but he walks off. And that's definitely a violation of the rules as well. Yeah. But like he said, he asked to leave the mats. And I was like, what did he tell you? Because they also said, he said, when he asked about the video footage, they called him disrespectful and said he lacked posture. And so like my thing was like, at what point were you asking? Because you're not supposed to say anything from on the mat. And you did walk off. But I also didn't know at the time, like, you are allowed to request that footage. So they're trying to like possibly suspend him for up to a year. And then those were like the questions. It's like, we all know we get like bad refs decisions. And in America, it's one thing. In like smaller countries, like where like your pickings for the refs are like garbage. So slim. It's just like, so what do you think about the situation? You already said like, dang, you like coming up, you didn't read the rule books. Like, did you read the rule book for IBJJF, or did people just tell you?
I read the rule books
before reffing.
Yeah. And everyone in the room is a competitor at certain practices at Team Lord Irvin. I'm on the comp team. We are aware of the new rules and we ask questions about them and we read up about them. Unfortunately, a lot of the rules are vague. But nonetheless, I've gotten some bad calls, man. Is that your question? Have I gotten any bad calls?
No, it's like okay, the one was like, do you used to actually study the rule book? Like, what are you doing? If somebody in black belt final, you get robbed, you walking off, or you getting your hand raised and dealing with it later? He walked off. You walking off?
He walked off.
What are you doing?
He wasn't gonna get his hand raised. He lost.
Yeah, but he did sweep. So are you getting pissed off? And this was the second time it happened to him one day. Like, if it was you walking off, or you dealing with it later?
I don't think I would walk off, because even if they review it and they say I won, if you walk off and they're pissed about looking like bad referees, they'll use you walking off as a reason to disqualify you anyway. That's why I would not walk off. I just stand there and face the music. For better or for worse, when I think about the times I got robbed, I always looked at it as right or wrong, it's my fault. Shouldn't let it get that close. No matter how bad I got screwed, I could be mad, but I shouldn't have let it get that close. And that sucks that you have to think that way. But that's, as a competitor, you kind of have to look at it that way.
Yeah. From the outside, I feel like, yeah, no, I'm getting my hand raised, but like knowing me, it's like, I'm gonna get emotional. I'll be like, fuck this shit, you know?
I only cry when I win. I've only cried when I win.
And you only train 3 times a day. I'm crying like a little bitch, okay? That's what I'm saying.
I didn't
okay?
cry. When I won Who's Number One, I didn't cry. I was like hyped. I was like, yo, this shit is lit. Like,
all that
this
money
is lit.
dried your tears.
And I got 2 submission blows. It's like, yo, it's lit, motherfucker. Like, we out here. I was so psyched. Yes, sir.
All right. That's the last question that I have for today. It's like, I feel really bad. I just want to encourage people to go check it out. The videos, the article on favelajujitsu.com. You can let us know what you think about it in the comments. And that's just, my blue belt wisdom for y'all. Make sure y'all read them rule books, because I know I don't. I'd be like, Tim, am I allowed to do this? Ali. And then I just say, you got to pay to play. Stop asking these people stuff you can Google.
Yeah. You can Google it, or you can pay me to Google it. Either way. But check this out, guys. Before we leave, I just want to give a shout out to John's Fit Meals. They give me the best meals on earth. They keep me strong when I'm doing pro wrestling, when I'm doing jiu-jitsu. Go to John's Fit Meals. It is an excellent meal prep service company. You just go online, go to johnsfitmeals.com, order your food for the week. They are homemade gourmet meals with great ingredients. Like, I had plantains with grilled chicken and white rice, the most delicious meal ever. The breakfast burritos are dope. So go to johnsfitmeals.com, use promo code BJJGoons for a very, very nice discount. You can find me at timspriggsbjj.com on Instagram and Facebook. Nico, where can we find you?
You can follow me on Instagram at no_new_Nico. That's no_new_Nico. And make sure to stop by favelajujitsu.com. Get all your BJJ Goons merch. Go check out the articles.
This has been the BJJ Goons podcast. Until next time, peace.